Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will leave as one. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will leave as one. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me, darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, baby, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me, darling, darling, stand by me, oh, stand by me, oh, stand by me, stand by me. Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, I want you to stand. Now stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, I want to stand by me. Oh, I want you to stand. Baby, I want you to stand by me. Oh, I've been waiting all my life just for you, just for you. And all the people there, and all the people there. Yeah. Oh, Ichikidana, bichikidana, dane operdana, ichikidana. Ichikidana, bichikidana, dane operdana, ichikidana. Giagi per la china c'è l'arca e divana, ichikidana. Giagi per la china c'è l'arca e divana, ichikidana. Ichikidana, ichikidana, dane operdana, ichikidana. Ichikidana, bichikidana, dane operdana, ichikidana. Jyoti si chokore lullaby namae. Jyoti si chokore lullaby namae. Benevo cadere con pesada mae, benevo vacare e su pesada mae. Mamma sa che hai una gaia a tarulana, ichikidana. Mamma sa che hai gaia a tarulana, ichikidana. Hariti man bariti, la kamoti chariti. Raja chikke bang me tu shalla otte karite. Kacheva che va nidushke mukure sua, ichikidana, ichikidana. Ichikidana, bichikidana, dane operdana, ichikidana. Ichikidana, bichikidana, dane operdana, ichikidana, ichikidana. Ichikidana, ichikidana, ichikidina, alikapa. Thank you, thank you.
Can we have a round of applause for Ronnie, please? Thank you, Ronnie. Earlier this evening, you made us all cry with the rendition of the national anthem of India. And what some of you may not know, and her mother told me that, and she even didn't know that she never knew the national anthem of India in Hindi, but she stayed up all night yesterday and she learned it. Thank you, Ronnie. With that, we come to the dinner conversation here today on the last night of the annual Women Economic Forum 2018 with all of you. May I please welcome with that Madame Ouidet Bouchamaoui from Tunisia on stage, our guest of honor for the annual Forum Nobel Peace Prize Laureate 2015. It is also my blessed honor and privilege to invite on stage along with Professor Richard Daveni from TUC Dartmouth. Professor Daveni, for some of you who may not have met him earlier, is among the top 5 strategic thinkers in the world. Aren't we privileged to have you with us, Professor Daveni? Richard is a very dear friend and always there for me. He consults with top Fortune 500 CEOs, G7 presidents, and heads of royal families. And he's a strategist, as we all know. We began a conversation with Madame Ouidet on 29th, which was yesterday. This is part 2 of that conversation, and we are going to continue from that. To sum it up, Richard had asked a very an insightful question on the 29th, where we had a brief conversation with Madame Ouidet, that how is it that after the Arab Spring, when so many other countries went a little backward, regressed, how is it that Tunisia moved forward? And we had a beautiful answer from Madame Ouidet, who said she couldn't speak on behalf of other countries, but she could speak from her experience of her own country that was built on the solid foundation of education and a robust civil society, which was already there, and the Arab Spring began in Tunisia. And with that, they were able to, they had a moment of crisis, but because there was education, because there was a robust civic engagement, they were able to use the tools of dialogue, of negotiation, get everybody on board, and move forward into the written constitution and establishment of democracy. So we are continuing that wonderful conversation with Madame Ouidet, along with Professor Richard Daveni here, and taking our understanding of Tunisia, of India, of other countries in the world, in the region, in the MENA region, in US and Canada, through the prism of what happened in Tunisia, and using that as a base for understanding some of the other questions that we all might have. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, welcome to another scintillating evening. I would request Madame Ouidet to please share with us. She has been with us since the inaugural of the forum. She was with us, and she has been witness to a phenomenon called the Women Economic Forum here, where we have women from 100+ countries here. I would just request her to just open her intervention with her understanding of what's happening here. She's seen, movements in gender equality, gender parity, women empowerment from a very long time. I would just request her brief interventions on her experiences and understanding at a forum here. Ma'am, please.
Thank you so much, dear Arbin. I'm so happy and so proud to be here and to share with you these moments. I think yesterday I spoke a little bit about Tunisia, about our experience. I'm waiting for a question because it's very important for me to to listen to you first and to know how you can, what is your opinion about the Arab Spring? But just to say that I'm one of the 4 people in the quartet, Tunisian National Dialogue. We together set up a roadmap, and we encouraged the politicians to be together to sit and to follow this roadmap. With the roadmap, we got, democratic elections, presidential one and parliamentary ones. We got also a modern constitution, and of course the participation of women was so important, because Tunisia is, I think, to be modest, one of the first and the only Arab country in the Arab world where the women have, equal rights, and it's very important for us. And also I'm so proud to represent my country, to represent women country in Oslo for the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony, because it's very important to show and to say that we as women from the Arab world, Muslim people, we can go with veil, without veil, it doesn't matter, but we can work, we can travel, we can do everything. What we need to know is how we think about, and it's very important. And I think Tunisia now is in the right way. We got, so many things, and we are now a democratic country where we have free media, free expression. We can criticize everyone. We can say what we think about. And we also, kept rights of women, rights of human in general. And now we have some challenges, economic challenges. As I said, we are near Libya, and the situation in Libya is still, there is still conflict there, and we are really affected by the situation in Libya, because we used to have 150,000 people that they were working there, and we used also to export, so many products to Libya. But I convinced that we, Tunisia, we are able to make changement. We are able to be, to be different and to move our economy, because we have this capacity to be in front of obstacles, and with younger people, with strong civil society, and with especially emancipated women. So I think this is just another direction, and I will leave
in fact, yesterday when we ended the conversation, and I left everybody with a teaser, and I wanted to talk about some numbers. Now this evening, before we started your session, we've had a very interesting evening with numbers, and I'm going to share a bit with you. So, I learned from my sisters in Tunisia that over 1 million women came together in solidarity in Tunisia to vote for a party or a person who is now your president, because you were convinced that he's going to put the country on a path to progress and prosperity and empowerment with inclusion of women. And women, 1 million women, you could give me the direct number, it was more than 1 million women who came together in solidarity, who decided that this is the future they wanted through this leader that they admired and respected and trusted. And they put the weight of their votes behind him, got him elected, and perhaps changed the future of their country and their own future forever. Today what happened this evening, ma'am, we were all together, and we held an auction in sisterhood of all the dresses that I've been wearing, with love, exchanging. And everybody was supposed to give, the minimum bid of 10,000, not rupees, not dollars, not euros, but say minimum bid of, I'm going to connect to X number of women, 10,000 number of women before 2019. Or let's say if I take more time, before 2020. And we had an amazing room full of women who said, I can. And finally, for the 10 dresses, we gathered a number of 825 1,100 women that we are going to all connect to. So I want to ask, with your experience of, you know, solidarity can do, what those numbers of women coming together can do, first talk about your experience and then give us some advice.
I don't know if I have advice, but just to explain something. When we got our elections, presidential one in 2014, I mean, women everywhere, because we got before, I mean, Islamist party in the power, and we as women, we were afraid that, I mean, we'll lost our rights. So women, when they saw that there is someone else who will keep the rights of women, they elected him. So he said 1,200,000 women elected this president. He's not the best of the best, but for us, we choose someone who is for us as women, as open-minded women, as modern women, someone who will, I mean, continue to increase our rights and to be with us. This is very important. But the solidarity for us as women is how we can be one voice. One voice first to be more present in some decisional position. It's very important to be in some position, I mean, political one, economic one, social one, because we are able. And I'm sure, as I spent here 4 days, I think it's I saw so many, I mean, interesting women, so many powerful women, and I'm so happy that we can find everywhere. So we need to push, and we need to be in those positions that we can have this voice. Second, we need also to be to improve the education and to insist on the education. It's very important that women would be educated. The women have to be educated. So it's very important. They can know their rights. They can know what they have to do, and also they can also defend themselves. It's very important. The third thing, I mean, about this solidarity is how we can together discuss and sit with others without looking to our color, to our religion, to our what, I mean, this is for ourselves. Each one is free to think about something, about his, I mean, personal things, but what we have to, I mean, how we can, I mean, make difference between one and another one is how we can, how we can have this idea that we are as human. We are as men and women. We can complete and be and we can be, I mean, together. And this is very important for me. So solidarity is to improve the conditions. Not the solidarity is not just, I mean, to be, I mean, like people, I mean, aside. No, we'd like to be with men in all fields, but also to think as women, as open women.
Thank you. Professor Daveni, thank you. I'll just come to you as well. And I will also, as I shared with you earlier about the auction, and also before I request you to ask a question to Madame Wided, in continuation of the conversation we've been having about through the prism of Tunisia, trying to understand what's happening in the world and what we can learn from it, I would ask you to help me make sense of the auction and the numbers we've got, and whether that's good enough. Should we be satisfied, or should I do another auction tomorrow?
Well, some of the dresses that you've worn, especially the one on the inauguration evening, were so beautiful that I would have been on it myself. And I would have prayed on, hoped that people would understand when I wore it.
That dress has gone to the Latin American delegation, not on the basis of the numbers, because we did it with a bit of a heart, and there was a beautiful commitment from the New Mexico State University and Latin American delegation, and we responded to those bids because they came from the heart, And then by the time we got to America, we really started crunching numbers.
Yeah,
Auction part 2.
yeah, perhaps that would be a good idea. You know, as a strategist and also as a person who has been involved in many difficult situations, I wonder how you'll collect. How will you make sure that they contact that many people?
Yes, I told them they have to send me 825,100 emails.
Well, and
Connecting me to those women.
yeah, are you prepared to read them?
Yes, very much. I told them I'm there, my secretariat is there, and I will read every one of them.
I see, and you'll keep count.
I will keep count.
And then if they don't deliver, what are you going to do?
I'll just try again.
Try again.
Yeah, I'll just try again and pose my trust and again and you know, continue my job.
I see. Okay.
I'm taking a risk here.
Yeah, a big one. A big one. Pardon me? There's always more dresses, that's true. But I suggest that you have somebody follow up with them and
Okay, so that's a wonderful piece of advice, and we've got everything on record, and I'm going to put some people chasing some other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you should put on your website you know, each
A counter on the website, maybe?
yeah, exactly, of how many that they actually delivered on and how much they promised. And the names of people and their email addresses so that other people who read your website can write to them and say, well, what's wrong? Well,
Certainly, I take my points from the advice, and I need to just follow up better. Thank you so much, Professor, for that insight.
Yeah. So peer pressure, I think, is...
Create peer pressure to make sure we deliver. We all deliver.
Exactly.
Okay, noted, noted. So now you're free to ask questions to Madame Widad, now that I've got my answer.
Well, I'm not sure I answered your whole question, but that's okay.
Sorry.
But I don't remember it. So we can move on to it.
Okay, thank you. So I will have you ask another question in continuation with our conversation with Madame Widad.
We have something very much in common, based on what you had said the evening before, and you had mentioned that your dad made a big difference to you, and to your confidence, and to your personal power and personal spirit and strength. I'd like you to talk about your dad. And what did he do, and what should the women in this organization encourage their partners, spouses, husbands, to do to help their daughters?
Thank you so much. I have not to cry because every time when I'm thinking about him, he's passed away, I'm always crying because, you know, doesn't matter. I'm so proud to be his daughter because he did so many things for our country, for him, for his family, and for all employees that he got. My father was self-made man. He got to the school just for 4 years, and when his father was, passed away, he took the school and took care about the family business as he is the eldest in the family. And what is amazing, even he is not, he didn't continue his school. He was so clever, so open to give, the same chance to boys and girls. We are in the family four girls and 3 boys. And for him, we are in the same, really same. The difference is how we can deal with our life. So for him, he made no difference between us. And he encouraged us to be, first, well educated, to think about others and to do something for our country. And I think what we are doing now, we are continuing this even for, his success story even in business with my brothers and sisters. And for me especially, I was so linked to him. I refused to go outside Tunisia because for all my brothers and sisters, 6 of them, they studied in the United States. But me, I refused to, to travel outside. I continued my studies, university studies in Tunisia because I was so, I love, really, Tina, I love my father so much. So, and my brother's little one. So I stayed in Tunisia. But what is very important is for him, always he said to us, don't think that you are rich, you have money. You have to work. Even when we have vacation, we have to go to work for the vacation. If we don't have, good scores, we cannot travel. And he learned us how to become leader, how to become entrepreneur, how to become not selfish and to think about others. And he always said to me and to my family that sometimes you will be someone important. People, they will, recognize your effort. I think what I did, and the best gift that I can give to my father is the Nobel Peace Prize. It's, once, it's the most important prize in the world, and I don't think we can have it, each year. And for me, it's great when I'm thinking about it. This, for me, it's an achievement, and really, I'm so happy to have this. And thank you to give me this opportunity to speak about my father.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. In honor of your father, can you think of one moment, interaction, or one thing that he did that was the critical influence on your life?
You know, when I was child, even when I was in the school, I'm not so, cannot speak like this in front of public. The first time when we received it for the first time in Tunisia, the president of World Bank, and we were invited by the governor of Central Bank, Tunisian Central Bank. I was, I think, one rare of women that were there, and he said to me, you have to go with me because the governor invited me and you, but if you have to go there, you have to ask questions. I said, why, how? I'm not used to speak in public. He said, no, you have to speak and you have to ask questions. Of course, I prepared the question with him because that's, I need to ask the president of World Bank. It's not so easy. And I was so troubled, to how to ask. I did it, and of course it was my first way to be known by others and how I will, go to this Tunisian Confederation and to be a member of this Tunisian. It was my first step, and it opened for me a big gate to be known and to be to have confidence in myself.
Okay. You can tell who's boss when everything stops because someone got interrupted. I want to explore it a little further because I have daughters, and
I don't have, unfortunately.
I'm sorry?
For me, I don't have daughters.
You don't have daughters.
No.
But what I discovered was that even things I don't know that I'm saying influence them. So let me give you an example. I was bringing one of my daughters to the White House, and when we went to the White House, on the way there we were taking a taxi. And my daughter started screaming and screaming and screaming and saying, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And I said, why? And she said, I don't want to be robbed. And I said to her, what makes you think you're going to be robbed by the president? And she said, every night at the dinner table, you talk about the darn taxes, and said the government is robbing me. So I explained to her that she wouldn't get robbed, and that there was nothing we could do about taxes. She calmed down, and I said, you'll just have to be brave. And then I brought her to meet the president. And, but it's interesting how young children pick up on something you say, and they see it through the eyes of the children. The eyes of a child that takes it innocently off into some other direction. And so they read lots of things into even inadvertent comments that you make, and it shapes their lives and their politics. So coming back to you, what were the non-spoken or inadvertent things that might have formed your life and that came from your family in general? We won't have to speak just about your father.
You know, I'm from the south of Tunisia, and we were educated, I mean, to live every day together. I mean, for us, the family even for Tunisian, family is so important. Even here, yeah, I know, even in many places. For us, I mean, it's very important to be always, to share. If we have something good, if we have something bad, to be together, to travel together, it's very important. And I think my family, I mean, did so much for me. And I tried, I mean, to educate my two sons in this way, how they can be always, I mean, connected to the family, because we have to be proud of our roots, to have to be proud of our origin, and we have to be proud of our, I mean, history. It's very important. For me, and what is non-spoken thing is, it's maybe some they didn't like, or they don't like that I'll be involved in politics. Yeah, some members of my family.
Yeah.
Yes, because for them they said, okay, you were, I mean, for 6 years and a half, and on the front, and people you are always in the medias, and you are always, I mean, taking some. Please, yeah, that's it. For us, that's it. I mean, we need to be, I mean, behind me. That's it. So this is what is, I mean, maybe they want. Even for me, I have my idea, but I respect them idea. But they preferred, I think, they cannot oblige me, but they can give their opinion for them. They hope that I will not be involved in politics.
I see. Okay.
So just continuing on that same train of thought, what was, you know, we've spoken about the economics of goodness in this forum, that how, you know, we're constantly exploring this relationship between earning money and goodness, you know, living the life you want to lead, being satisfied, being driven by your values. Women have to sort of find, we are still exploring our own relationship with money, and we have to set our own narrative for that. So there is a narrative which we already are living in, which is of the corporate world or businesses as we see it, but there's clearly a certain sense of wanting to change it so that we can be more comfortable in this new understanding of business. And this comes to our, again, understanding our relationship with money. So you were brought up in business family. So what was, you know, your relationship with money or with the idea of business? What is business supposed to be? Were these kind of things spoken about, discussed, not as a theme, but obviously, like Richard said, in certain conversations, you pick up certain things, you know. So how would you like to tell women who are wanting to be entrepreneurs what kind of a relationship to have with money, how to view money, the importance of money, and the importance of, you know, other things that make us who we are? So I don't know if that question is very concrete, but if you could just have like a few thoughts shared on that.
I think we cannot live without money. I mean, money is necessary for each of us. I mean, I prefer have money do not have money. If I'd like to travel, I'd like to work, I'd like to eat. I mean, it's very important. But how you learn, I mean, you can educate your children or even for others how to earn money by the right way, how you can make effort, how you can do to improve your companies, how you can do to export more, how you can do to have good products, to take care about the environment, to take care about everything. I mean, the health of people. This is very important. When we are doing like this, of course, if, for example, we need, I mean, a step, we'd like to be richer, and it's, I mean, something which usual. We'd like to be ambitious in our life, and we'd like to be ambitious. If, for example, I produce just for my country, I'd like to export to Europe first, because it's near us. After I want to go to Africa, I want to go to Asia, and to go to America. This is educated, and if they have knowledge, if they have something to do, they can be, I mean, let's say, independent. Please, really, it's very important to be independent, I mean, financially independent. So sometimes we go to the shop, you want to buy something, you can just open your purse and you can buy. It's very important. It doesn't matter what is. It doesn't matter. But sometimes, if it's my opinion, maybe men are here, they cannot, I mean, they don't agree with me, but for me, it doesn't have sense to say, give me some money to buy something. For me, it's my idea. For me, that's why I prefer to work. I prefer to continue to work. Just I feel that I'm someone. I feel that I'm first, and then second, I'm doing something good. I'm doing something to develop my country, to develop my company, to develop, and this is it doesn't have any, I mean, qualification. So it's good to be independent. Maybe I got this chance to be in family where, I mean, I have, a comfortable position, but we also continue to have this for me, for my children, for the new generation. So for us, yes, we have money, but it's not this the only way. Money is to give you this possibility to live, but to think how you can develop. And women should also know how they can be independent by learning other things to change, because sometimes we can deal with one subject, and you know there are crises everywhere. If we need to be open to change. We need to be open to be training, to learn another activity. And this is very important. And even in front of my children, I like to be independent. It's very important for me. I like to be independent.
Richard, I'll have you ask one last question here to Madame Vided, and then I'd like to take a couple of questions from the floor, please, and then I'll take the last wrapping up, and we'll call it a day.
I'm going to be a little intrusive, but I'm Italian, and I can't help it.
You are not so far from Tunisia.
Well, actually, my family is Sicilian,
yes.
and as you were describing the way your family works, it's very much like mine. I think more Middle Eastern than European because of the history of Sicily having been controlled by North Africans for many years, for in fact centuries. And these ideas carry forward with you in society without you even realizing them staying as part of that. I mean, just as an example, in the United States, the idea of true class is still Britain, and they haven't been there for 250 years. So, you know, these kinds of things, mentalities carry on. Women and money, and because money is, as you say, independence and power to influence and change things around you, often threaten their husbands. And their husbands get nervous, and if any of you in the room have had this experience, so the question is, how do you still maintain a marriage and have that independence and power when you have to worry about that? And it's not just the husband, it's going to be your brothers and sisters. And I think one of the things that holds back people in general, women especially, but also for men, is the rest of the family who says, well, you know, they're either jealous or they say you don't care about us anymore because you're now spending all your time somewhere else. And there's a number of constraints put on them. So how do you keep your family at the same time, and now I'm starting to sound like the end of The Godfather, where Michael Corleone sits down with his mother and says, can you fight for your family and lose them at the same time? So how do you balance that, and how can you make your husband feel still worthwhile, or your brothers and sisters and so forth? Yes, I know.
I don't. It's not a good example because I'm divorced, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. The reason I asked is because I've been divorced 3 times.
But sure, I think if men choose women not because she is rich or not, it's my opinion. It's what she has here, and it's very important. So for me, money is not the first thing. Even we are not together, it's not because money, not at all. And let's return to my family. Even we have brothers and sisters. Even maybe I'm the most well known in the family, but it doesn't matter. They are proud of me. We have the same family name, and I'm doing well, I think, as I'm always invited. I got so many different distinctions. I don't think they will be different because it's me. If it was one of my brothers or sisters, I'll be the same. I'll be so proud. And so money doesn't change our relation because we were educated that we have to keep this family. We were educated to be together. We were used to live with my uncles, with my cousins, and we continue to do this. And then some days we'll have Ramadan in Tunisia, and each Ramadan we have to meet together in my mother's house, to cook together, to be together, and to share everything. For us, family is very important. Secondly, it will be the money. And if you have to work, each one of us work. Each one of us makes effort. Each one of us try to develop our companies, our family business. So we are in the same step. There is no difference. So money, we always say we have to leave money, besides us. Just say, for example, if we have to go to restaurant or everywhere, we don't, never ever, we think to say, or we have got this, the check, we have to, each one has to give some. Never. We all the time we were disputing
disputing
who will pay.
like in India.
Yeah. So for us, we don't take care about this. My money or his money is the same. The same. If, for example, I'm traveling and my brother or my sister, they are staying at, and they ask me to buy something for them or for their children, I never ever, me or them, ask them to reimburse us. It was something which incredible. So for us, money is, insist, is a way. It's a way. That's it.
What matters most is family then. So it comes by...
Yes, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
I cannot live without my family, really. I cannot live without be with them, even if I'm traveling to be in touch with them.
And those are fundamental societal values, and those are passed on to whoever will, the boy and the girl. So when he grows up to be a husband and she's a wife, they both, whatever they're doing, they carry these values in the center of the family.
Sure.
Okay. So, do we have some questions in the audience? Yes, Shalini Pasi. Shireen Pasi, sorry. Do we have an extra mic floating around here, please? Yeah. Thank you. She lives in Kuwait, by the way, so.
Famous Egyptian singer there.
So my question is, but you know, I was reading a report that laws are one thing, but then to accept and inculcate those laws in life is another thing. And a lot of Saudi women are finding it hard to actually progress because, you know, they've led sheltered lives all their lives, you know, most of their lives. They were not allowed to drive, they were not allowed to even go out without their husband's or brother's permission. And some of them are finding it hard to adapt to this. So what are your thoughts on this issue?
You know, it's not, I mean, it's, I think Saudian, they know what they want to do. I'm not here to give them lessons, but I think women everywhere, they need to be, I mean, present everywhere, and it's our right. We are human first. We need to, I mean, it's our right to do what men did or they are doing. It's very important. For me, I don't know, in Tunisia it's different because when I was born in a country where, I mean, after the independence, and I saw that there is no difference between men and women. We can drive, we can travel. So sometimes I don't feel good to see, I mean, women, and especially the opinion that others, they have about Muslim and Arab women. I think that we are always, I mean, behind men. We are not educated. We don't have rights, and this is my matter. How I can give this image of Arab and Muslim women. How I can say, don't think about stereotype. You have to live in some countries. You have to have, I mean, friends to discuss with them. The reality is different. Even if you have to look to the Quran is different. The Quran gives, I mean, the respect for women, and so we have to respect women. You know, besides that, we are, I mean, outside our house, but we give life. It's very important. I think this is just for us, but I'm sure that women everywhere, they have to think about their, I mean, future, about their rights. Maybe we can learn from each other, but really I cannot encourage them to do what, if it depends on their country. But I think everywhere, women, I don't know when, but sure, they will have the same treatment, they will have the same conditions. Otherwise, the new generation would refuse this. Because now, with internet, with social media, with everything, now we are living in open environment. an open world. So maybe I can accept, not me, maybe someone who has my age can accept this, but the new generation, I'm sure they could not accept. So they will do, and they will do, I mean, something just to change because they want to be like others. And it's very important. So we have to take care about the new generation, and we will feel, and I'm sure that they will make the changement, yeah.
Thank you. Can I have, okay, I see some hands. I was just wondering if the students also here would like to ask some questions. Maybe you can prepare. We'll take Aarti's question here, and then I would love to have some of our students, New Mexico and Purdue Beats who are here. If you'd like to ask some question, would be wonderful, if you'd like to. And you can pose to Madame Vidya. You can also pose to Professor Richard Aveni. So I just thought, yes, Aarti, please.
The question is probably a little bit unusual, but I'd like to put it to the whole panel, including you, Dr. Harbin. In life, we take a holistic approach. We work, rest, and play. So I just wondered, what is it that you do when you're not working? How do you relax, unwind? What sort of things do you do?
Okay, the men
All
first.
three, okay.
Not working? What do you mean by that? I'm not sure that I know what that is.
You say you were divorced 3 times?
Yes. Yeah, and okay, so.
Sorry, I'm a journalist.
It's a very good question for which I have no answer that I want to give in front of that camera right there. What did I do with my free time? I usually, with the children, I spent time by bringing them traveling with me. And so, because I had so much work, play would come for maybe 2 days in between here and another place. And so I would have my children come with me, and I would allow them to pick one place a year that we would go for their birthday. And so it would just be that one child and myself. And then we would do sightseeing. But as a strategist, I probably drove them crazy. But we would go to all the museums and would review the history of the country and would analyze what the power struggle was and why is this happening, why is that building so important, and it was always in the context of strategy. So so the poor kids were indoctrinated without them really knowing, and all 3 of my daughters have strong strategic jobs now. You know, one is a brand manager for a global brand, and another one runs the Toyota internet strategy, and a third one is a vice president of planning and analytics for an internet company that's very popular in the U.S. And my son, he was more lost because society has kind of left out young men today. And he sat on the couch and after he graduated from college for about 6 years playing video games. And I discovered finally that, you know, somebody told me you can't enable them to be bums, so you gotta, finally you have to kick them out of the house. So I kicked him out of the house and he laughed at me, and he went and bought a condo on the Upper East Side of New York City that cost $7 million. And so I said, what the heck is going on here? You must be selling drugs. I'm gonna kill you, you know? Because how does a young boy do that? And he turned out to be one of the top 10 video game, strategy video game players in the world. And he's like a celebrity, but he plays under a different name. And he found a way to make his life work, and he did the same thing. So, so I used my time as travel to first of all show them that I really cared about them, and then secondly to show them, to give them the tools so that they would think right away. And I'll give you an example of how this developed. My youngest daughter, Gina, who has me wrapped around her little finger, we went to France, and we were in Paris, and she was very excited about learning French. As a little child, she was maybe 8 years old, and the tiniest, little, cutest girl you could imagine. And we went into a store in France, and she tried to order something in French. And the French woman running the store got very upset and said, if you can't speak French properly, then don't speak French at all. And she got really upset. And because of the training of my daughter that I gave her in terms of confidence and how to deal with things, she looked the woman in the eye and she said, my father landed in the second wave on Normandy. And she said, you like to speak French. She said, but if it weren't for my family, you'd be speaking German now. And it was like, yes, okay, Gina. And she was only 8 years old. So, what I did was I tried to give them the confidence. And speaking about money, I'll finish with one last thing is, whenever we traveled, I gave them an allotment up front, and so that they didn't have to ask me every minute for money. This way, they felt like they had their own, and I said, you can spend it on anything you want. I won't complain, whatever you do. But we had certain rules. One of the rules was that I mean, we had rules just so that they wouldn't drive me crazy. Like, you know, if you have to ask me if we're here yet, then we aren't, and just so you don't need to ask the question. But one of the rules was, if you see something you want, be decisive and buy it now, because you probably, if you try to wait and see for other things, then you will probably never find this again, and then you'll be out of, finding anything that you wanted. And so I taught them to be decisive about money. There wasn't, so that they, and to think of it as their own independent money. Once they got it, that there was no strings attached.
Sound advice. Could I just hear very quickly from Harbin and Widdy?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so my free time, you know, my guru used to always say, and I've learned pretty much everything afresh from him as well, from my conscious mind. Of course, you know, we are brought up in a certain way, but there comes a stage and age when your conscious mind, you know, is asking questions, and those I got from him afresh. And he used to say, change of work is rest. And I love doing different things. Okay, I'll share a little dream with you. It's a very sacred dream to me. I don't share it like that. I probably have shared with just very few people or very closed door. I don't know if I should, but okay, I'll trust and I'll share it. So the guru I'm talking about, in India we have a concept called avatar, which you know, which is the divine consciousness takes a form, could be any form, and descends on earth to guide humanity towards the next milestone, the next stage of evolution that they are supposed to get. So my guru is known as an avatar. He's like a, so anyway, I had a very powerful, like you had a deja vu experience, Professor Daveni, where you saw yourself as a military strategist in a dream and you had a deja vu. I had a very, very vivid dream, and this was a year before I started All Ladies League. And I had a very powerful vision of him. I was like in a small room, which now I learn is the room he used to meet people in. I never met him personally. I was always in the darshan, you know, just there. And I'm sitting there, and he's sitting on a chair, and I'm sitting, there's a, you know, little couch sort of a thing, I'm sitting on it. And he comes inside. He used to always have a white handkerchief in his hand and his orange robes. He sits on this chair, and I immediately get up, and I just, you know, like I shared with you, we touch, you know, we bow to our elders and people we revere and take their blessings. So I sit down on the floor and I just bow my head to take his blessings. And he puts his hand, I still feel that hand on my head sometimes. It was very, very powerful. Like he puts his hand on my head, and I close my eyes and I just see the sun. Like the sun, as if I'm looking at the sun in the eye. I see the sun in all its clarity and dimension. And, you know, and I see behind him there's a door, an open door. And I just see women scurrying from one left, right, just women, lots and lots of women. And he says, come, do my work. And I tell him, Monday to Friday. That's what I ask him. He said, Monday to Sunday, which means every day. So since then, my life has completely changed since that very powerful vision. And I don't know when I'm not working, because even when I'm not working, I'm resting in a sense and changing my work to do something else. It's still working. So for instance, if I am in the office from morning to evening, and I'm doing my office work, working with my teams, we've got projects, goals, deadlines, and then in the evening you want to do something else, I'll probably go on my software, design software, and, you know, make some designs or posters which are connected to my work but not in the direct line of my work, and it's still my work but it's different. Then I go back to my room and I switch on some bhajans, you know, which is devotional music. And I'm still working on myself, right? Because I need to integrate what I've been throughout the day. I need to put it all together. A day is not always like a straight line. It goes through its ups and downs. You meet a lot of people, you go through a lot of emotions, and you need to harmonize all of that. And personally, music really helps me organize, you know, harmonize all of that, especially devotional music, and not just any devotional music. I'm very particular. It's the music that is sung in the temple of my guru, because I have so much emotional memory associated with it. So I just listen to it. It's like his energy coming to me and just sorting out everything, you know. So that's also working. It's working on my spirit and working on my soul. So, you know, so I guess if you put consciousness to your time, that what am I doing with this time, you're always working till you then sleep, and then something else is working on you. So that's my little tidbit. Ma'am.
I have to add.
So the question was,
yeah,
what do you
no.
Yeah, okay.
After you, it will be difficult to, really, next time I'll be the first. It's better. I don't think that we'll have, so many, free time. For me, I used to work, I'm used to work hard. You know, when you are, entrepreneur in the private sector, you don't have time. No Sundays, no holidays. I remember when I got my first son, I stayed at home 40 days. For the maternity, but at the same time I was working at home. But it was, for me, it doesn't have sense till now to stay without doing nothing. For me, I'm a dynamic woman. I need to work. Even if I am at home, I need to do something. Really, till because I left this confederation on last January, I was working for 12 hours per day. And my phone is they can call me at any time, morning, afternoon, holidays. Even if I'm in holidays with my family, just once a year, 10 days, but I have special time to be in contact with my office. And after the 17th of January, when I left this confederation, I'm always advised to be outside. I really don't have time to be bored. Boring, that's what we say. So, but if I go to my family, my mother, she's alive, my brothers and sisters, my friend, and I'm always curious to visit some new things. For Tunisia, we have handicraft, which is well known, and I'd like to encourage women and to see if there's something new, and just to relax when, because I'm used to read a lot, but really now not so much. But I'm thinking to come back to read, because it's very important to practice sport. It's very important, and to have time for ourselves is very important. For me, even I'm always busy. I have at least one afternoon to go to Turkish bath, to do massage, to take care about myself. It's very important. Yes, because otherwise we cannot be, in shape to work, and we need to be always ready, and always always tired. So we have to take care about ourselves as women, for ourselves, not for others, and also to work.
Do we have time for one last question from... okay, we'll take 2 questions because yours is extra. That's outside of the official limit. I'll have a soft corner for my students here. Okay, so we'll take Smita's question, and then we go to the student from the Czech Republic. Smita.
So my question is for Professor Davani. We talked earlier about women. What can women do when they're actually powerful, they're empowered, they got their own income, they're really self-sufficient, and in terms of the impact that has on the husband or the partner in the marriage. Question I have, I think it's really, you're a strategist, you've been married several times, and you're a man.
Thank you for reminding me.
And from what I've seen, I happen to be very fortunate in a very, very, I would say, an amazing situation where it's not an issue at all. In fact, it's the other way around. My husband can't get enough of seeing me shine. And when he accomplishes things, I'm like, it's like my accomplishment, So what I want to, I have my views about this, and we can talk about that offline, but I want your opinion about what do you see men really need to, I would say, own or take responsibility for, in terms of where they need to bring themselves into an empowered relationship?
Well, first of all, I've met your husband, and he's a remarkably smart person, with visions of the future. And so he has a confidence that allows him to accept being with a woman who's an equal. But quite frankly, most men are very fragile egos, and they're much more sensitive than they look on, than they let on to people. And as a consequence, the men often feel, at least a lot of folks that I've observed, that they want their wife to show their love to them. And then if their wife is out making a lot of money and then doesn't come home and spend time with them and doesn't do things like make him dinner or whatever, whatever they want as to be, as part of their pampering, they start to feel like they're losing the love. And so they have to be confident enough to have their own life, but there also has to be a compromise. So, because if you're just going to be two people who show up and share the same hotel room once every a week and so forth. It's really not a marriage, and who needs it? And if you're hearing your wife say to you all the time, I don't need man, I just want you, you say to yourself, well, I need her, because men do need their wives, and they think that it's an unbalance in the relationship. So, so men need to gain this confidence. You know, there's another thing that happens is that they can start to feel small. You know, I'm supposed to be the breadwinner, but I'm not. Why am I important to the family? And so a lot has to do with how the wife treats that person behind the scenes. And if you show them that they're important, then they give you more freedom. And also we have a saying in the United States, mainly amongst Italian Americans, but it's, the saying is, happy wife, happy life. And you probably heard this, right? And so, but many people do not have that wisdom. And the wife has to have the opposite opinion, because if she's all take, then it doesn't, you know, it feels like just a one-way direction. So so I think it's a combination of women having to understand that they're not really trying to, men are not really trying to hold them back. Men are fearful that they will lose the person that is most important to them in their lives. And they're also constantly worried that the wife will, you know, now be working with much more powerful men, and as a consequence, that they might lose their wife to somebody who's better than them. So that fear has to be alleviated. Is the camera on here? It's can we turn it off for just 1 second? Would that break?
Okay, can we turn off the camera for 1 minute and then bring it on back? May I request the people behind to turn off the camera for 1 minute, and then I will signal again.
Yeah. Can you turn them off?
It's turned off?
And the sound also. I don't want it broadcast. Okay?
Okay, and the visual and the sound for that feed of your camera to be turned off, and then we will turn it back on again. Okay.
Okay. Are they off?
Are they off? Yes.
Okay. I am going to tell you a story.